Bones, thanks for your time. But I just started. Tell me about yourself. Where were you born and raised?
Oh, right, right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I was born in Bremerton, Washington, right across the water, due east. And I was raised in Port Orchard and then Bremerton again. And so, yeah, I grew up over there on the island, as everyone over here calls it.
Yeah. Tell me about your home life. What was it like growing up for you?
Lived in the middle of a forest where there's, I mean, when I was a kid, we would play in construction sites in the woods and fight each other with sticks. And then eventually, as we got older, we would. I lived in a special part of the woods that had like 5 or 6 psychotically intelligent weirdos, and we would spend our time drinking and arguing. So that's where I kind of got cut my teeth, as far as being like brutally witty and right all the time.
Well, tell me, do you have any siblings growing up?
Yeah, I have a younger brother. His name is Galen, and he's very tall and super mad at me right now. But as soon as he apologizes, I'm sure we'll be friends again.
Well, tell me about this community of folks in the woods. Who were they?
See, there was Eric, Will, Mike, Joey, then Brad, of course, because every group needs a Brad, And every day we'd play a game. We didn't call it this at the time, but I posthumously called the game "Who's the Asshole?" And you didn't want to be the asshole because everyone teamed up on the asshole. So it was a game of intrigue that only super bored people with nothing better to do can play.
Gotcha. No, you went to high school out there, and
yeah, I dabbled. Oh no, yeah, I graduated high school.
Oh,
I went to alternative school. I got kicked out of high school. South Kitsap fairly early on because they didn't want to let me smoke cigarettes. And I was like, well, if I'm going to get up early and come to this fucking circus, I'm going to smoke cigarettes, at least in the morning, and then as many times as possible. But they wanted me to smoke 0 times, so they expelled me. So.
Well, let's see. Well, after high school, you graduate. How old are you? 17, 18?
I think it was a super senior, so I was like 19.
Yeah. Oh yeah, super. They call it super senior. I've never heard that before. Where does life take you in your 20s?
I painted and sandblasted aircraft carriers and submarines.
So you got a job doing that?
Yeah.
Kind of a trade, I guess.
At the naval shipyard over in Bremerton.
Okay, gotcha.
And so, painted, I think 6 entire aircraft carriers, like front to back, to top to bottom. One of them twice, the Nimitz twice. And drank a lot. And yeah, that was and then I discovered heroin eventually. That got me off the booze. Yeah. And then I quit heroin, and that I couldn't go to the shipyard anymore after that. I just called my boss and was like, help, I'm not on drugs. I can't go in here anymore. It's too stupid. I can't do it. And he's like, well, how about I just lay you off, and then, you do what you got to do, and if you ever want to come back, you can. So.
Help me understand that. What do you mean you couldn't go back? Because it was like a trigger, or?
I just had to do so many drugs to go in there and do that every day.
Oh,
it was like,
it's just so monotonous kind of thing?
Yeah, bureaucracy.
Okay.
It's hard to explain to someone that's never been in that environment,
right.
But it's retarded.
Okay.
It's so dumb. And the people in there are completely convinced that reality is reality, and it's this game that they're playing to sort of make, the Navy cost a whole bunch of money so that everyone can keep, working to make money to pay more money to the Navy to, have more jobs, that whole
keep going, right?
That whole cycle.
Yeah.
So I just without a ton of heroin, I just could not be around it anymore.
So what'd you do?
I became the fake mayor of Bremerton.
Okay. And are you living where?
I was living in Bremerton over on Highland.
Okay. You rented an apartment or a house or?
I had a nice little house in the beating heart of Bremerton's District 3, between downtown and Evergreen Park and Manette. And I sort of had I held court as like a weird halfway house for burners and flow artists and other poets and musicians and and people like that. And it was pretty awesome.
I know we talked a little bit about it, but how did music and art, and you said a little bit of graphic design, how did that when did that come into your life, and when did you start learning that stuff?
Well, my basement in my house over in Bremerton, when I quit doing heroin for a while, I had all this extra time and all this extra energy. I didn't know what to do with it, so I started a band called Kid Goblin, and we just made music in my basement.
What type of music are you guys playing?
I've been told it's somewhere in between Elvis Costello and Sonic Youth.
Nice.
Yeah, we were fantastic. That was probably the funnest time I ever had with music. I was learning Ableton Live and doing a lot of composing on there. I mean, I've composed hundreds of hours of music and beats and everything. I love it.
Yeah. It's an important piece of expression, and I was just talking to somebody else, and it's just so therapeutic, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's something about playing with other musicians. Everyone's playing their own instruments, and all of a sudden you start to play this one.
And I had people thank me over the years for having a place where they felt comfortable trying to play music, or it's like I always try
Safe place to play music, right?
Have a place where people can jam. It's important.
I'm curious about you said you were doing heroin. Why did you decide to quit, and how'd that happen?
I was engaged to be married, and she had never met me not on heroin. She didn't do it herself.
Okay.
And I promised I'd quit when we got married, and so I did.
Did you get married?
Yeah, I got married, and then for our honeymoon, I quit heroin, and turns out I was on a lot of benzos too. I didn't take that into consideration, so I quit heroin and benzos cold turkey, which was nightmarish.
On your honeymoon?
Yeah. Well, that's as far as work knew, it was my honeymoon, but that was bullshit. We had planned on me detoxing or whatever, but I didn't plan on it taking like 30 days, because of the benzos. So that was something I never want to do again. It was super painful experience.
But you did, I guess, I don't know what you'd use the terms, get clean, get sober. Did that happen?
I mean, I did the at least it's not heroin diet,
Okay.
for a while. So, I mean, I don't think I ever did more drugs than when I was sober off of heroin.
Gotcha.
But no one seemed to mind that, so I was, they were just happy that I wasn't on that anymore. And, I didn't feel like I had anything to feel bad about at that point. And I was doing a lot of stuff, a lot of constructive partying, I guess.
Well, I guess, why do you think you're doing this?
Because I felt like it needed to be done.
Fair enough. And so you're married. How long are you still married?
No, unfortunately, I don't think she liked me as much when I wasn't on heroin as she thought she would. To be fair, she never met that person, and so she was very private, very shy, and I had this whole new social life that was happening that I think made her, uncomfortable. And she had some manic depression, bipolar stuff that she needed to work out. And I think, I thought she'd be better off working it out, if I wasn't around to distract her, or as it were, or, be the scapegoat, So, like we had to break up. It was sad, but I think it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, it happens to many of us.
Yeah.
How long were you guys married?
We were together like 7 years, but we were only married about a year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're done. The marriage is over. You're still in Bremerton.
Right.
And then what's going on in your life?
I kind of threw myself into composing, and about that time I started using speed. So for whatever reason, like a whole group of people I had never noticed before just seemed to appear overnight. Once I started doing speed, like almost like in Fight Club, like, hello, sir, like Mr. Durden. I kind of started hanging out with that community and working on music more. And that lasted about like another year. And then.
Are you working at this time?
No, at this time, it wasn't too long after I had got off heroin that my wife convinced me that it probably wasn't a good idea to keep working at the shipyard, So she talked me into quitting, which was surprising, but I did, and it worked out pretty well. I collected unemployment for for a while, and I think at this point I was still, maybe unemployment had just run out, and I was kind of just paying rent. I subletted some of the rooms in, my mayor's mansion, as we called it, and kind of just sold a bunch of the crap that I had amassed, like making all the money at the shipyard and spending it on dumb stuff to pay rent, and focused on art.
That's it. Yeah. Well, at what point did you come to this side, to Seattle?
I want to say is fast forward a few years, like maybe 2 or 3, and at this point I had moved to my parents for a while, and then that kind of, I had to get out of there because things were not very cool at the time, and I ended up, they had an old Ford Explorer that was rotting in the driveway, and so I took that and a pressure washer and went and started, I just lived out of my Explorer and was doing pressure washing jobs, and then I met a couple of booster kids that were street kids, and they kind of just moved into my car, and we started traveling around Washington. At this point, I think at this point I had got back on heroin again. I was clean for about 3 or 4 years there, and then and we just kind of traveled around, boosting from stores until we got enough money to get enough dope to boost enough from other stores to get enough money to go to the casino in whatever area we were in, to then lose all our money and then go to a different town, and then repeat the process over again. And that's, I guess, when I started I'd say that's probably when I would consider myself to have joined the ranks of the there's a misconception. There's 2 types of homeless people. And we all get lumped together, from the outside looking in. There's homeless people there's some people that are just like so unlikable that nobody wants to deal with them, and so they become isolated, and they start getting louder and crazier, and do more desperate for attention from all the isolation, and then that makes them even more unlikable, until eventually no one wants them around, and they end up on the street. Then there's the other type of homeless person are the people that got sick of the 9 to 5 thing. Just couldn't deal with all the cyclical, like, wasted time and stress and all the bullshit that comes along with, like maintaining like a mortgage or rent or marriage or all these relationships that, aren't necessarily important to them. And they decide, to go camping permanently. And I would consider those people to be more like your classic outlaws. So from the outside looking in, it all looks like the same group. But just unfortunately, us outlaws end up getting stuck with the very boisterously unlikable.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting take. I think there's a lot of mental illness happening.
Sure. Yeah.
It's I mean, there's a lot happening.
Yes.
With everybody housed or unhoused. It's like everyone's different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it can be a rough lifestyle. I mean, like it weighs on people. It's exhausting.
Yeah. Right. I mean, what's it like for you?
It's and I consider myself to be amongst the ones that chose this. I mean, I'm not out here by accident. Like I could shave and put on a suit tomorrow and go get a job somewhere. But I've done that so many times. It's I don't know. I think part of it is I could rationalize it that I'm living in protest of everything that I think is stupid and unnecessary about society, and that's part of it. But I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be right now, as far as the narrative's concerned. And as a holy man and a witch doctor, I just got to do my duty wherever I am.
So when you got with you were in that car, traveling with that, doing that thing. How many years ago was that?
Probably 3 years ago now.
Okay. And that was like kind of the first time you became unhoused or homeless.
Right.
When you did that, and then how did that end?
Well, eventually my car broke down, and I'd met a girl online that lived in Queen Anne, and while we were traveling, one of the last places we ended up stopping was Ballard, and I remember I was immediately charmed by the place because we'd travel around quite a bit, and I'd never seen what looked like a heroin trailer park before, just out in public. I was like, what's this? It's like, I've never been anywhere where just like, there were so many people, I mean, doing what I thought I was doing, was camping, basically. They said, screw it, and there was a convoy of RVs and people that, I had a lot in common with, It doesn't look that much like that anymore now in Ballard, but they've cleaned it up quite a bit. I mean, the blues and the Fetty kind of, people don't shoot up like they used. I remember they used to sweep up orange caps by the thousands.
Yeah, used to be a lot more needles around.
Yeah.
Like anything, there's a new drug that comes.
Yeah, but surprisingly, that got everybody off the needle like almost overnight. It's a miracle, kind of, in a way.
Maybe that's one way of looking at it. And also, it's like, man, fentanyl's killed a lot of people. You know that more than me, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you know people.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know that I don't think the deaths have really, as far as I've noticed, gone up because of fentanyl. I mean, I remember people dying all the time on heroin too.
True.
But I mean, it's not as icky as, I was never a shooter myself, so I just like not having to watch people stick themselves with needles to get this vinegar into their bloodstream, over and over again. It's seems like and then the prices of drugs has gone down dramatically. It's like I don't know, for whatever reason, things seem to be headed in the right direction. You know.
Well, let's talk about your current situation. So where are you at now?
I decided to stay in Ballard. I ended up hitting it off with my girlfriend Rachel, who lived in Queen Anne. Due to another more recent situation, she ended up actually homeless as well. But yeah, I don't know. I met a group of people that I really get along well with, and a community that I feel like I'm useful being a part of, and I've started a thieves guild called the Black Cross.
What does that mean? What's a thieves guild?
It's like a civic group, a civic brotherhood
Okay.
of outlaws that look after one another, and eventually, we plan on doing some community service work and stuff like that once the funding becomes available. But in the meantime, we're just trying to stay alive.
Yeah. Bones, is there anything that you want to say to the people of Seattle?
Stop hiding all your bathrooms and power outlets.
Tell me more.
And for God's sakes, don't put any water in the ashtrays. I mean, what the hell, guys? Like, they're just cigarette butts. But to us, it could really make a difference in our day.
Water and ashtrays? What do you mean?
Well, nothing's worse than when you go to raid an ashtray for, like half cigarettes and somebody dumped a bunch of water in them. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. That might work out against me in the long run. I don't know. It depends on how malicious your audience is. But
well, yeah, all types of people will see this, but I didn't know that was a thing. I never heard of that before.
Oh yeah. It'll really mess up your day.
It also rains here a ton.
That's true.
It could be the rain.
Not in the covered ashtrays,
But I'm not in the covered ashtray.
but
Yeah.
definitely could be the rain.
So your folks still around?
Yeah, they still live out in Port Orchard.
Gotcha. You in contact with them?
Yeah, I talked to my mom pretty frequently.
Anything else you want to add, Bones?
That put me on the spot here. No, I think I got it all.
All right. And thanks for your time. Appreciate it. It's good to hear your voice. Thanks for sharing part of your story, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to grab that little mic.